putting an end to any speculation that his team will be signing free agent wide receiver Antonio Brown, even with Tom Brady now as their starting quarterback. When asked on CBS Sports Network Thursday about the likelihood of Brown coming to Tampa Bay, here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
What's the likelihood AB gets back in Tampa?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
There you go.
Not going to happen. There's no room.
Yeah.
And probably not enough money, but it's just not going to happen. It's not a fit here.
If he says, I'm coming in on the veteran minimum, coach, I just want to play with Tom, you still wouldn't find a way to get him in?
No.
Is it just because you don't trust what he could do to the culture? Why so steadfast that you would not give it a chance?
Yeah, I just know him, and it's not a fit in our locker room.
Strong words there by Bruce Arians. Damian Woody, kind enough to join us now. Always good to see you. Stephen A., I want to start with you on this. Obviously, you're a Steelers fan, and we've talked about this at length. Bruce Arians coached Antonio Brown for about 7 years, first a wide receivers coach and then as an offensive coordinator. And he also said about a year ago to Adam Schefter that he's just plain and simple too much of a diva. Do you think Antonio Brown's future is done in the NFL?
I wouldn't say done, but it's in grave jeopardy, and it should be. First, let me give props to my man Brandon Tierney. That was one of the voices that you heard, him with Tiki Barber. They do a great job on CBS Radio. That's my brother right there, Brandon Tierney. Great job on his part. Let me say this. Antonio Brown's future is in grave jeopardy because he can't be trusted. We all know about, the sexual assault allegations. We know that the NFL is still, dangling this penalty over his head where once he's reinstated in the NFL, you got to remember, before he's reinstated, he has to go through Roger Goodell and they have to permit it. So we get all of that. Anybody who picks him up has to deal with the reality that a suspension is waiting once Antonio Brown decides to land with a particular team. But this is why his future is in grave jeopardy. He cannot be trusted. It's just that simple. He threw Ben Roethlisberger under the bus. He threw Juju Smith-Schuster under the bus by revealing DMs on Instagram or wherever it was that Juju Smith-Schuster sent to him privately, looking at Antonio Brown like a mentor, and he was betrayed by Antonio Brown. Okay? He goes to Oakland. He stands up John Gruden. He calls Mike Mayock out of his name in front of an abundance of people, basically, clearly and flagrantly insubordinate. And then when he was supposed to meet with John Gruden to discuss things and talk about remaining an Oakland Raider at the time before they moved to Las Vegas, obviously, he taped the phone call, that Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, put together via conference call, him, Gruden, Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown, unbeknownst to them, he taped the phone call, In the meantime, he goes to New England, and when things fall apart there, he insults Mr. Kraft. I give him credit for not being discriminating in any way because he's attacked players, he's attacked coaches, he's attacked owners. He's even thrown Mike Tomlin under the bus with the diva mentality that he has. If you show an ability to be untrustworthy, why should somebody have you in the locker room? We can't diminish the significance and the importance of that. And when it's really bad, your agent, Drew Rosenhaus, who's considered one of the best in the business, who's a specialist in going out there and getting you your money, not only did he drop you, he had to drop you publicly. And if you recall, Max, Damian, Molly, I actually called Drew Rosenhaus out because I'm like, that's like grandstanding. Why would you publicize what you've done in terms of severing ties with this dude, at least for the moment? And then when you talk to sources in the industry, they're telling you that Drew Rosenhaus saying, I had no choice because this guy would tape your calls and you don't know what he'll do with it. So your own agent who's out there to get you money couldn't trust you enough to be quiet and keep private conversations private. And my last point is this. Here's all anybody needs to know, and this is going to put a smile on Max's face because Max knows exactly where I'm going with this. It is a Thursday. Antonio Brown, all he has to do, Damian, Max, that's why he's smiling already. All he has to do is shut the hell up until Tuesday morning. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. You shut up until Tuesday. And $29.125 million is guaranteed. And the man couldn't shut up. All you have to do is shut up. That's all you have to do. Now, if you can't be trusted enough to be quiet for 4 days, to guarantee yourself $29.125 million. How can anybody trust you? There's no way in hell. That's
Right.
why Bruce Arians is right. There is no doubt about it, and I got no problem saying it.
He's self-destructive, so of course he'd be team destructive. He does things that he thinks put him in a good light, like posting on social media his interaction with the police and his baby's mother, thinking that puts him in a good light. Like the exchange he had with Juju Smith-Schuster, where Schuster comes off like a man, and Antonio Brown comes off petty. And Antonio's the one who puts it out there, thinking it puts him in a good light. His view of reality is distorted, oftentimes self-destructive. So of course he could be destructive to a team. And here's the issue, I think, when you say trust Stephen A., because we're more or less on the same page as this. I would lean more toward he does have a future in the NFL. But this is what's going to happen. He's going to have to change. And that doesn't just mean put on a show. Not just front like he's changed. Because that's when you say trust what I take from that. Because that's what I feel. That around the league, yeah, Antonio Brown might say the right thing for a day or two, might act like he's sorry, whatever, but no one really believes it. First of all, we've seen him screw up too many times after acting like that. Secondly, we all have experience in our own lives. Maybe it even happened to us where you change your behavior, or maybe you have a kid who changes their behavior off of a punishment or the threat of a punishment, or seems as though they've actually changed, but as soon as they feel like they have the upper hand again and have some leverage, in fact, the bad behavior comes right back out. And so Antonio Brown can't just front for everyone. I think if he wants a future in the NFL, he has to really look at himself and think, okay, this ain't working. I have to make a change, which is why people like in 12-step and stuff, recovering addicts, they say you actually have to hit bottom, right? Antonio Brown hasn't, believe it or not, I think, actually hit bottom yet. Because when you do, and you look around and you say, oh, my view of myself is distorted. What I think is okay is not. Maybe I actually have to make some changes from the inside. Then you'll see that he has a future if he can do that. An example I'll point to is Michael Vick. Michael Vick actually showed internal change and then went on to have his second part of his NFL career. It's not like it's impossible, but it's got to happen for Antonio Brown. He's got to decide or it's never going to happen.
Well, a couple things here. Number one, Bruce Arians was Antonio Brown's offensive coordinator his first couple years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he has intimate knowledge of who Antonio Brown is as a person. Notice Bruce Arians never questioned his football skills, okay? Antonio Brown right now is probably one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. Nobody can question that. All of this goes back to all the foolishness Antonio Brown has going on off the field. And Stephen A., you named all of them, from out in Oakland with John Gruden and Mike Mayock to up in New England with Mr. Kraft. And it's so much foolishness that Antonio Brown has going on. He has so much baggage, Stephen A., with a guy with a Hall of Fame resume that teams don't even want to touch him. Don't want to touch him at all. This is a guy in Antonio Brown. He's played the slot. He's played on the outside. They do have a need at a slot receiver, okay? But the fact that Bruce Arians came in and said, you know what? We don't want this guy. Especially with everything that's going on this offseason, with the condensed offseason, we don't even know when it's going to start. Who wants to bring all that noise into the locker room?
It's hard to believe arguably the best receiver in the NFL potentially might not have a job this upcoming season or moving forward at all. We have to get into commercial break. Damian Woody sticking around here with us. When we come back on First Take, more NFL for us to address. Could Teddy Bridgewater actually be an upgrade to Cam? We'll hear from the Panthers quarterback, plus why Carson Wentz should have a bone to pick in Philly. Wait till you hear who they passed on and why. That's coming up.